Hey friends, what's up? How's it going? It's Thursday, and we've got another episode of Inside Star Citizen that just came out, and I have been told multiple times today to check it out, so we're going to check it out, and we'll see what they've got for us. Hopefully it's something good. It's a new ship, and, well, they've got to convince us it's worth it, right? So, let's see what they got to say.
This is the first MISC ship in about 5 years. In my mind, it'll be pushing into the further expanses of the universe, going as far as you can go, and seeing what's out there.
Oops.
The type of player this ship should appeal to is those players who just like traditionally non-combat experiences. The Odyssey is sort of designed
Almost
for
everybody.
a generic role in terms of they want to go off into the wild blue yonder and just explore. Being MISC, obviously they work closely with Jian and incorporate tech, so that primarily on the art side gave a lot of flexibility, but on the design side allowed us to justify some of the more interesting features of the ship.
In terms of the ship from front to back, there's a lot more of that cool levitation.
Here, oh boy, I just messed up. I love a little bit of flavor like that, you know, like when they bring in a little bit of that extra tech, especially into the MISC designs, but also you see it kind of in Aopoa stuff, and well, that's mostly it.
In terms of the ship from front to back, there's a lot more of that cool levitation tech. Got that classic sort of wide cockpit that we see on MISC ships like the Freelancer. Underneath, you know, we've got like a prospector type bubble which house two crew. One person does the tracked beaming.
Some powdered sugar on there, yeah.
One person does the mining. We've got two unmanned turrets for a little bit of self-defense. There's one at the back under the underneath too.
And then the pilot has a variety of missiles to use.
On the interior, we've split it over 3 levels in total. Top deck is mainly some engineering space and refinery.
So you can mine Quantanium and refine it for the ship itself.
So they are specifying Quantanium. I don't think we're going to be able to mine anything else with this ship. I know a lot of people were wondering about that.
So that essentially gives you the ability to just generate your own quantum and hydrogen fuel.
Obviously, Star Citizen is getting bigger.
Was that our first refinery? Like our first in-person ship refinery that we've been able to see? I know it's white box, I think this is, but concept mesh, whatever. But, you know, like maybe that's some idea of what it'll look like.
Quantum and hydrogen fuel.
Obviously, Star Citizen is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, we're introducing more systems. Fuel is going to become a major issue, right? And so this is perfect for that kind of scenario. The middle deck is the sort of probably the most dominant of the 3.
You have a bridge at the front of the ship.
Holy crap, there's a lot of people on the bridge. Wow, it's like Enterprise over here.
And it's quite a nice bridge on the Odyssey because you have this huge bank of stations for all the crew to sit there all in one place.
Wow. It's a freaking orchestra over here. Just like play the Star Citizen theme song.
Every crew member has their own room with ensuite facilities on board.
MISC shapes are so boring. Like the doors and hallways and stuff, they're just like rounded rectangles everywhere. That's something I love about Crusader and Anvil? Yeah. They get a little wild with their shapes. I mean, definitely a lot of ships that look like the Starfarer, and I assume the whole series too. It's a MISC looking design. It's a freaking huge ship though, jeez. It also reminds me of like Star Wars kind of.
And then the lower deck leads us to the hangar, which is basically what the whole ship is formed around essentially. So that really did dictate the dimensions and the proportions of the ship.
Oh, there's a ground vehicle.
It's a generic hangar. It's designed to our environmental hangar metrics, so there's a huge range of ships that can fit in there. You could bring a fighter ship if you want more defense. You could bring a prospector if you want to do even more mining. The hangar on there is a huge volume and helps support.
Here's the question, though. If you bring a prospector with you to do more mining, do you also need to bring a second refinery ship? Or, because, I mean, they're talking like the Odyssey can't refine the stuff that the prospector would be getting. Only quantanium and hydrogen fuel, they were saying. So, I feel like that we have to get like the literal words to describe that. But I'm thinking the prospector might not be that useful if you can't turn the stuff into the Odyssey.
Or any choice you want to make with ships.
Unless you bring along another ship with you, but, you know.
There's a little medical bay in there for any accidents that happen along the way.
Oopsies. I know a few people in GII who need that. That medical room. John.
We have this one room which is kind of really in there just as like the rule of cool. You can just sort of sit there and just see space, you know, as you're zooming along.
Huh. Like a good
The
observation
natural
room.
competitor to the Odyssey is the carrot.
In my mind, it's a carrot killer. What you can do with it is pretty impressive. It's kind of the multi-tool of the spaceship world.
It just gives you almost ultimate flexibility on how you want to play. The Myst Odyssey is the ultimate exploration ship.
Let's talk about that for a second. Because a lot of people were led to believe that the Carrack was going to be their ultimate exploration ship. And I think we're all kind of approaching this to say, like, hey, it looks like this might have a slightly different use case than the Carrack. But they're literally now saying, hey, this is a Carrack killer. You know, it's got all the tools that you need to spend all the time out there in space that you want. That's pretty big. I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, clearly the Carrack is going to have its own space. They have to allow each of these ships to breathe in its own space and have its own skills. But again, I guess this is just another reminder that, like, buying these ships isn't always getting you what you think you're getting. It's good to remember that, because while a lot of people will be trading their Carracks in for this new ship, a lot of people have fallen in love with their Carrack, and they were hoping that it would be that ultimate exploration ship. And if there aren't ways for the Carrack to step up and kind of match the fuel economy that the Odyssey is going to have, and even like the hangar space seems to be wildly bigger, that's going to be interesting. That size difference, I think, might be what really differentiates them and allows the Carrack to do a little bit more, maybe get around security areas more. I don't know, but this is going to be a hot debate.
Odyssey is the first offering from the storied manufacturer in quite some time, and they seem intent on bursting back into the scene with a massive impact that is sure to make Carrack owners look twice. And while that
Bursting back onto the scene with a picture.
wraps up our multi-week coverage of the new ships and vehicles of this year's Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, let's go ahead and take a look into the future with a special vehicle-themed sprint report.
Sprint report!
To get things started, members of the EU Vehicle Content Team have returned their attentions to the Hull A and Hull C as they continue refining the work previously done in order to bring it up to current standards and, perhaps most importantly, metrics.
We're actually getting details on the whole series now. It's good
Now, if you've
stuff.
been following the project for some time, you'll know we learn with each and every ship we make, and it's essential to take those lessons forward so they can inform each and every ship yet to come. Now, while the Hull A continues its journey through final art exterior and gray box interior, what you can see here with the Hull C are the results of not just some recent lighting passes, but an effort to update the interior scales of certain areas for improved player and NPC comfort alike, addressing those metric issues and experimenting with some early attempts at new building block screens for tractor beams and the like.
I wonder if that will look anything like what it finally does at some point.
And speaking of tractor beams, the vehicle content team has begun building the size 1, 2, and 3 tractor beams that can be equipped to a variety of vehicles, bringing with it some long-awaited functionality to ships like the 300 seen here, the Caterpillar, and
Jared, man. So this is the sneak peek picture that we got, October, I think, maybe? Early October, late September. Clearly the ship tractor beam. This will be very useful for large cargo missions. I'm actually going to be interested to see how something like the 315 uses this. Ships that have tractor beams but don't necessarily have all the cargo space to move things around. People are going to find all kinds of reasons to use these tractor beams for. So I'm excited to see how a ship the size of the 315 is going to use it.
2 and 3 tractor beams that can be equipped to a variety of vehicles, bringing with it some long-awaited functionality to ships like the 300 seen here, the Caterpillar, and more. Minor updates are also underway to the Starfarer as it gets ready to make its debut not just as the first refueling ship in Star Citizen, but
also as the newest FPS mission stage. No,
the first
we all know that
refining
joke.
vehicle as well, as new additions to the exterior walkway will allow it to take canisters of newly mined fuel from other spaceships for processing. And yes, we want to update the interior just as much as you do. We're looking at where we can slip that into the schedule now, so hang tight.
Ship-based refining.
Up next, let's move along to the Vulture, the entry-level salvage ship from Drake, which has moved into final art phase with a look at the habitation area, as well as the cockpit.
This is going to be a very cool ship to see in the game.
And for ships just beginning their journey, we can announce that the Scorpius fighter from RSI has begun its journey through white box phase, where the team works to ensure all current metrics are met and that all the component spaces work as we'd like them to. It's so far, so good.
I'll say this about the ship. I don't really care about dogfighting. I'll take the weapons off, but that design, I will take that and use that for an Explorer any day if they let me. Gives me that, that Star Fox look. You guys know which one I'm talking about. You remember the Star Fox 64 with the blue wings? Yes.
No surprises, which itself is kind of always a surprise. And finally, before we let you go, we showcased the updated concepts for the Banu Merchantman at this year's CitizenCon. And now I'm pleased to report that in our final IAE 2951 vehicle episode, that the Merchunk Man itself has begun its journey and moved from concept phase into white box with this highly anticipated first image. Hey, everything starts somewhere. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts.
So
you're going to
anticipated.
get to follow along with it from the very beginning of its journey from this point forward. So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that Misk wasn't content to just let Anvil sit alone at the top of the exploration pyramid with the recently revealed Odyssey. That there are a variety of new ships and ship updates that will make their way to the persistent universe between this year's IAE and the next. And that sometimes I'm just going to hide stuff in the outro to reward folks who watch until the very end. Something like a bunch more Banu Merchantman updates, maybe.
Actual white, but wow, that looks
Looking
cool.
good.
Oh,
Nice.
boy.
That's a turret, not an ED-209.
That honestly looks kind of like a little bit of a xenomorph in the middle. Wow. See, we don't have there are no human ships that feel cavernous. That is cool. The vaulted ceilings, the lofted ceilings, and the extra space in this ship definitely looks completely different from any other human ship in the game. That is really nice looking. I want one.
Ooh, and some video.
Oh my gosh. It's like if the Normandy from Mass Effect was made with cool, shiny, sharp
Yes,
things.
sometimes I'm a jerk, but I'm your jerk. Now, don't forget that our big IAE All Ships Q&A airs tomorrow on Star Citizen Live on Twitch, and it's your chance to ask about the Spartan, the Raft, the Odyssey, and all the latest vehicles from this year's
Better get some
IAE.
good
And then we'll
questions.
be right back here next week with a look at the exciting future of Gravlev and revamped Jumptown 2, both coming in Alpha 316.
Let's talk about that too. Jumptown 2 being on the roadmap. I don't know about that. That's are we gonna start putting all the dynamic events on the roadmaps, or is that because 316 is a little light? Which I'm cool with. Fix up the game if you can. 315 was a pretty big update. It's nice to see a Gravlev update coming in. That's gonna be cool. I hope that actually works. Excited to see more about that next week. But honestly, this is gonna be kind of a quiet finish to the year. I will definitely be talking about that in the podcast and the live streams, and probably in a video or two in the next few weeks. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next week.